Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let's take a look at CSV files. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So CSV stands for comma separated values. CSV files are a way to store data in a very simple format. They're basically plain text files that contain a spreadsheet. Each row of the text file is a separate row in the spreadsheet. Each column is separated by a comma, thus comma separated values. The advantage to a CSV file is it's not proprietary. It's not a Microsoft Excel file that can only be opened in Excel or an Apple Numbers file that can be only opened in Numbers. It's a very basic format that can be opened in either of those two apps or other spreadsheets like Google Sheets. So when a website wants to provide some data in a very basic format that doesn't rely on the other person having a particular app, a CSV file is a great way to do that. Here is a sample CSV file. If I were to control click on it and open with Text Edit, you could see how it's a very simple looking file. There's just each row here with commas for each column. Now your Mac is smart enough to know that if you quick look at a CSV file, then it comes up in a little table here. So you can see the data in it. It's not going to just show you the plain text. Yet you can edit the text in a text editor. So if I opened it in Text Edit and say change this value right here and save it, now if I use quick look you can see that new value is there. Furthermore, the default app for opening up a CSV file should be Numbers. If you double click, then it should open it up and you see it as a Numbers spreadsheet with the data from the CSV file in a single table. If Numbers isn't what you get when you double click a CSV file, you could always select the file, choose File, and then Get Info, and then go to Open With. And then you can change which app is used to open that file. Or if you select an app, you can click the Change All button there and it will change it so that any CSV file that you double click on will open in that app. So as I mentioned before, you can open with Numbers and that's probably the default app. But you can also open in any other spreadsheet app. I don't think there are any spreadsheet apps out there that wouldn't open a CSV file. So for instance, I can open this in Microsoft Excel. And you can see how it works just as well here. Creating a CSV file from scratch is easy to do. You can just open up a text editor like TextEdit. Make sure you're in text editing mode. So for instance, if you see Make Plain Text here, switch to that. In this case, I'm already in plain text mode. I can type in some information like this. As long as I keep track of the commas to make sure all of the columns will work out, I could save this file. And then instead of saving with a .txt extension, use .csv and save. Now when I double click on this, it will open up in Numbers and there's my data. Likewise, when you download data from a website, it almost always gives you a CSV option. So here I am at the US Census Bureau site and I want to download some data. Notice that I've got various options here. One of them is CSV, and if I click here to download CSV, I can download this file. Here it is. I can use Quick Look to preview it. I can double click and it will open up in Numbers. Note that if I take a look at this file in TextEdit, you can see it's a bit more complex than our simple examples from before. One of the things you'll notice is the use of quotes. So quotes are used around any data. So when you have an open quote, you can include any text you want, and then a close quote, and then you would have a comma before the next value. To be safe, a lot of CSV documents will just put every value in quotes, even if it's just a plain number and doesn't need it. But you can see here an example of how commas are used inside the value. So if it wasn't for the quotes on either end, it would process this as 3 separate numbers instead of one large number. In addition, you can export from Numbers or any spreadsheet app as a CSV file. So you can go here to File, Export To, and one of the options is CSV. And I could save this out. I'll save it, calling it Example 2. And if I open this with TextEdit, you can see the resulting data. It's just a plain text file and it can now be opened in Excel, imported into Google Sheets, or in any other spreadsheet app. So if you use CSV files, I hope this gives you some background to be able to use them more effectively. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.